When things go wrong as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Let's Talk on Huda TV. We're continuing in our coverage of the political situation in Syria as part of our campaign to show our solidarity and support of the Syrian people during these times of the Arab Spring and this revolution and this massacre in Syria, because indeed we can't say this is just a civil war with two equally armed groups. No, it's one side heavily armed, massacring, killing civilians, which we have seen on the news time and time again. So like I said, this is part two of our two-part series inside Syria. I'm fortunate enough and very pleased and honored to have two very special guests. Of course, we have an experienced diplomat, Mr. Jalal Rashidi, as well as a Syrian activist, a very interesting young man who has a lot of experience and contacts inside Syria, which is why we have titled this series Inside Syria, to give a face and some awareness and to create empathy within our hearts for the Syrian people, and that is, of course, Mr. Hazem al-Hakimi. Assalamu alaikum to both of you. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Jalal. As well as Brother Hazem, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, we have our studio audience and our group of young men. I would like you guys to start off by telling me where you are from and just tell me what you know about Syria and and if you see a positive outlook for Syria.
First of all, my name is Sharif Ahmed. I was studying at Al-Alsun faculty at Shams University.
And you are from?
From Cairo, and I do like languages, and I'd like to feel proficient in many languages in order to work in politics and for the relation both at the same time. This is number one. And about the Syrian issue, we have all Muslims all over to unite and we have to have one word to stop all what's happening right now in Syria. We can't watch and have just comments that we just my heart goes to you, Syrian people, and all of that. It's not the solution. We have to tell you the truth, many other countries are conspiring against Syrian people, so shouldn't we give hand to each other's?
I agree with you, Brother Shria. I think it's sad when people say, okay, pray for Syria, our hearts are with you. Well, it's obviously not enough, and like you said, we should be taking action, and that goes without doubt, because the conspirators and people on the other side are definitely taking action. There's no doubt about that. Countries like Iran, Russia, China. What about the Muslim side, the Arab side? What about the side that has the truth on their side? Why aren't they taking action? Just talk. That's all. So, excellent point. Go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Suleiman Abakar Musa. I'm a medical student in Ukraine. Personally,
Are you Ukrainian, brother? Where are you from originally?
I'm from Nigeria.
You're from Nigeria, and you're studying in Ukraine?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Personally, I think the perseverance and the persistence in the Syrian people is actually what's going to make them win, because directly they are the only people, they are the only group of people who can win this war. Nobody's going to help them. They don't have anyone to help them.
That's a great attitude.
So believe me when I tell you, we'll sit back and watch down the Syrian government destroy themselves. Because what? Absolute power, like a great sociologist said, I can't remember his name, corrupts.
Absolutely corrupt.
Absolute power, absolutely corrupt. So watch this government settle down and destroy themselves.
Yeah, right. But you say only the Syrian people can win this thing. Why do you say that?
Because looking around, no one is... unlike Libya, where we have oil, in Syria you just have like the youths and their brains and stuff like that. I mean, other countries want the Muslims. I can't name those countries. I don't want the Secret Service around me. Other countries want the Muslims to go away. I mean, they really hate the Muslims, the Islamophobia and stuff like that. So what's Assad doing? I mean, Assad is killing Muslims. They can just sit back and watch and say, all right, good, thanks for doing my job for me. I mean, I'm not paying you and you're doing my job for me. Then talking about the religious whatever in it, yes. So only this, because they are so strong with themselves that they don't even want any external help, because they know it's going to just spoil everything. It's going to make things worse, actually. So I just think, basically, inshallah, the Syrian people are the only ones who can get this over with. They'll deal with it the way they deem fit, which I think is right to some extent. And inshallah, we'll watch the government crumble because too much power. I mean, the only two things that can kill a man, like we saw in Hitler and in some other cases. If it isn't a woman, absolute power will destroy.
Excellent point. I think I like what you said about they have to do it themselves because, like I always say, freedom has a cost, and you can't wait for other people to help you. You have to do it yourself. So thank you, brother. Thank you very much, brother Suleiman. Go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
My
salam.
name is Muhammad Ali. I'm a student at Al-Azhar University, English Department of Sharia and Law, and I'm from Cairo. And when we talk about Syria, I think the situation is very clear for us. It's all through triangle based on oil and weapons and also and true Shia between Syria and Iran. It supported them for that, and for Russia because she is waiting for oil from them. So, and it's now the time for Arab to take some decision. Always we agree on nothing. We have now to make something positive, and what we can do for them is just to pray for them, for us, because we don't have any hand in this.
Thanks for your comments, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, brother.
This is Muhammad Toil. Actually, what I think about Syria, I still remember the picture of the girl from Hims. She was, raising up, asking, she's saying, Aghithu, she's calling the people, other people, to support.
What did the banner say in Arabic, then translate it to English?
Yeah, Aghithu Aghla Hims. This girl herself.
What do you mean? Translate it, brother.
Yeah, it means that
SOS. Like
support us, all people.
SOS, like Mr. Jalasi, excellent thing.
Yeah, the same girl after like 2 weeks, she has been killed. It's very, very, emotional. That you see this girl while crying and,
right.
And after that she's killed. It's very emotional.
But
how can in the past, during the Sahaba time, when just a woman, she's being harassed, a war is war. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he waged a war.
Just for one woman.
For one woman being harassed.
Right.
Not being killed. What about being killed? What about a girl?
Yeah, of course. Brother, you said you're from Egypt as well, right?
Yeah.
Were you scared that something like this would happen in Egypt when you guys had your revolution? Were you afraid that it would go down to this level of violence? And
sometimes, I feel that.
Yeah, but I didn't. That's very good. Okay, thank you, brother Muhammad Tal. Thank you, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Muhammad Yusuf. Okay, after the Egyptian revolution, I thought that we make the best thing in the world. But after I followed the Libyan revolution, I thought it is nothing better than that. But after I followed the Syria revolution, after I see how people there struggle and how the human life turn on numbers in news bar, I learned from them every day. The meaning of hope and struggle and patience, and I think their cause deserve their precious blood and freedom and dignity worth that.
Thank you very much, brother Yusuf. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Islam Al-Ashri. I'm studying Sharia law in English, and I'm from Giza. And I just thought I can say I feel sad from what's happening in Syria. I see every day Muslims kill each other, and the case really it became complicated. It changed from political one to religious one, and just not the Syrian against their government, the Russia and Iran supporting their government. So it's very difficult to them just to win. But I hope to.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your comments. Mr. Jalal, you worked in a diplomatic capacity for many years for the Egyptian government. What work did you do in the Middle East and in Syria in particular? Do you have any experience there, or what work have you done?
Unfortunately, I was working mostly in foreign countries.
Oh, you meaning not Arab countries?
Yeah, I worked in Argentina, in India.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And I worked in the United States for about 12 years.
Okay.
And you wrote a book in India, about India, as like atoms and stuff.
India is a great country. And I think, though it is not our subject, but generally speaking, these people are simple, but they have got certain determination. And they have been able to achieve what they are now in terms of technology, and especially communication technology, etc., because they are persistent and perseverance.
Well, I hope that we can adapt that to...
Though they are, the illiteracy in India is too big. It's bigger than what is in Egypt.
Okay.
It's a huge country.
Right.
With many dialects, 200 dialects, and many languages,
right,
and many religions.
Yeah.
But still, they have got a leadership.
But look at the contrast. Now you said India has over 200 languages, a strong vision, and they're going with good leadership to look to the future and create a better economy and life for themselves. So here in the Middle East, we have one language, one people, but with no leadership.
Exactly.
Right, Brother Hazem, what do you think about that?
Yes.
Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is a very fair statement. I wouldn't say there is no leadership. There is a leadership that's taking advantage of the people. It's not doing good
right.
for the people.
Yeah, right. How is it? Why is it developed like this? Why? I always say there's no political culture in the Middle East. Why in Western Europe, if we live in
personal vested interest?
That's it. I mean, that's as simple as it is. It can get
ambition. Yeah, you want to. Some people, some people would like to have power, influence, and money also.
Right.
Especially power. If
this is the main.
You have got an example. He's here in Egypt actually. Mubarak started as an ordinary man, and he gave a very colorful and beautiful statement in the beginning of his
tenure.
His tenure, in 1982. And all of a sudden, in about 5 years, he's changed completely because people around his disciples, and then when his son came from London, Jamal, of course, he was having also great expectations, etc. His wife also has got her own ambitions, and that went into his,
his but it's amazing now to think where those people are now. The son's in jail, Hosni Mubarak on trial. I never thought I would see this, and I never thought I'd see these.
He never, and they never thought of that also.
That's
why they were working on that sort of path.
Right.
Of grabbing everything in the hand.
The money, the interest, control the country.
See, for example, Gamal Mubarak, I have no grudge about towards him personally as such, but as a person, he was an economist. He worked in some financial institutions in London.
Right.
That's all his background.
That's his background.
Yeah. And he came and found that things are open. Everybody is giving him his. Bowing for him and giving him all sorts of, respect and, glamour, etc., and they shot him into his head.
Into his head, right.
And he thought that as a 46 years gentleman, man, he would like to become the
control the whole country
of Egypt.
Yes.
There is no harm actually. We have good examples in Obama, for example, is young. He's about 46.
Yeah, but the method of taking power.
Actually, the Prime Minister of England.
He's a young man, but if you take power through the legal channels, not just to grab the country from your father, which is also going back to Syria, is what Bashar al-Assad has done. His father controlled the country for many years, and now his son.
Exactly.
Brother Hazem, you live in Syria for some time.
Yeah.
What was the mood before the Arab Spring? The Syrian people, were they happy? Were they sad? Did they enjoy a nice standard of living? I mean, was there always this rumblings of a revolution? Was it like a pot on the oven, like I say, and you put the lid on it and you boil it? At some point, it will explode. Did Syria always have this kind of feeling?
People always, it's like they seem to have no problem with it. They were getting along, and they were getting along. So it's like
on the surface.
Yes, exactly. Nobody dared. Okay.
Out of fear.
Exactly. My family, within my family, nobody dared talk about Bashar or his father.
Out of fear.
Inside Syria or outside Syria even. Out of fear.
Yeah, imagine that.
So
I noticed when you go to the Middle East, if you go to shops and coffee shops, they put a picture of the president in a frame. I said, well, that's strange. Like, you wouldn't go to America, where I'm from, and you see a picture of Bill Clinton on the wall or something of a private business. But I said, why do they do that here in the Middle East? They said to show that they are supporting the regime and out of fear, So I think
this is what people don't get. The government is from the people, for the people.
Yeah.
It's not for those who just want to stay there and steal everything.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's an excellent point. Mr. Jalal, what do you make of this idea? I think it's part of Arab culture, in my personal opinion. They support the strong man and they're loyal. So even if they have a leader that's not a good leader, they're very loyal to him and they're afraid to appear disloyal. So even if you have a president, Bashar al-Assad, or maybe Hosni Mubarak, or any leader, even if they don't like him, they're kind of afraid. It's part of their culture, I think.
No, it's not. They are not. I mean, basically, in the beginning, they are not afraid because they're
not afraid. Their nature is not to be. They feel they'll be disloyal.
Usually, they are good, good-hearted people, and majority is pious. The religious people. You see, and they feel that the ruler is their
leader
in everything,
right?
And they give him that sort of confidence and loyalty, belongings, etc. Because of that. But of course, I mean, power would shoot in his head or in their head, and things start changing because you are, as a person, of course,
right,
you have, from one person to another person, it is a little bit different. But usually, power is something which is everybody would like to keep.
Of course.
And this is another point. It's like we don't have surveillance over this power in the Arab world.
Right.
It's like they have this power. It's like, okay, who can take you out if you do something wrong? They just, the ones in power take out everybody. Who can control them.
You know the mistake that these people make, like Bashar al-Assad or Hosni Mubarak or any dictator in any part of the world. For example, if I go to the United States and I say, you know what, this president is so stupid. People say, okay, Malik, that's your opinion. I like him. Or maybe he is stupid. Big deal. Here in the Middle East, these people, if I said Bashar al-Assad is stupid, Hosni Mubarak is stupid, let him say it. What happened?
No,
you see what I'm saying? You diffuse, you create this tension by letting people not speak.
Yeah, not only that, Malik, you see, we have got some default, some sort of some culture. The man who is in charge, who is in power, he will find some people around him who would start, praising him and trying to portray him as a sort of a god, something like this.
Right,
And this is what usually people, the nature, human nature is weak.
Right.
So I mean, if somebody goes every day will tell you that you are good, you are big, you are nice, you are beautiful,
of course, it affects your ego.
It will precipitate in your mind, and you will think that you are big, as if you are, looking into a mirror, and every day you are saying, I am good, I am beautiful, I am tall, I am.
Even appearing on the TV. You be oh wow, I'm on TV, I'm a big man.
So
you have to
some
check your
people
ego.
contribute to that.
Yeah, you have to check your ego.
Especially people, for example, see the press. Or the media at least. They contribute to it because everybody thinks if he goes to that, he will become part of the whole tribe around the ruler.
Thank you, Mr. Before I'm going to cut you off real quick. We're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with your thoughts. You guys stay tuned for more Inside Syria. We'll be right back on Huda TV.
إذا دكت الأرض دكا.
Do you want to learn how to recite the Quran? Do you want to read Islamic books in Arabic? You may enroll in a small group.
العسل من السوق اشترى. نعم اشترى.
A private lesson.
من مثلها في فضلها.
من مثلها في فضلها.
Or at your own pace to fit your schedule.
هل أنت مرغوب في المعهد؟
Courses for sisters with female instructors. We're bringing you the latest software technology, professional instructors, and a state-of-the-art classroom to the comfort of your home. Enroll now in Huda Academy. Huda Academy, your gateway to authentic Islamic knowledge.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Let's Talk Inside Syria Part 2. Before the break, Brother Hazem, I had interrupted you. I apologize. I wanted you to go ahead and complete your thought.
It's about, we keep on saying power corrupts and absolute power corrupts, and we keep on blaming those people because they got corrupted. That's one part. But people, us, we let them be corrupted. I'll just say, for example, in Syria, I've seen people pray for Bashar. I even saw, and you can see images, you can find images on Google, people praying for Bashar. They're doing sujood on Bashar picture. YouTube. They even say things like, in Syria we say it's like God, then Syria, and freedom. Okay, they say God, then Bashar.
Who says that?
They say Bashar, then Syria, then freedom.
Who says that?
It's like people inside Syria who support Bashar al-Assad, and they're from that regime that kills people.
I mean, this is the extent of the brainwashing that it's come to. I know, even when I'm in the United States, when I hear people say, God bless America, and I hear this nationalism, it's funny to me. Then I came to the Middle East and I see nationalism, it's funny to me because I don't, it's made up, it's fake to me, I don't believe in it.
Yes.
So anyway, now you're saying the Syrians too themselves have contributed to this by saying, God bless Syria, God bless Bashar al-Assad. I think this is,
But what Hazem said actually is very correct, because we have seen on the screen of the television, only yesterday, these tribal people coming and almost praise him to hell.
That's what I mean, Mr. Jalal. Where does this mentality come from, this idea? Where does this come from? I mean, this way of thinking. I would never see, I mean, I can't
They have got their own small world.
Right,
it's very small.
Right.
And the thing, as I mentioned before, I think that he is a ruler. That means he is a representative of God on earth.
Yeah, right.
See?
Right. Yeah,
sort of.
Just like the times of Pharaoh.
Also, it's illiteracy. It plays a big role in this. And humiliation. People really get to the point that they're in need for such things.
Right, right.
That's what they're playing too.
I always say, I know we're going to go to the studio audience real quick, but I always say education is the key forward.
Education also, and political consciousness. As I gave you an example of India. India's illiteracy is very big, bigger than Egypt. And still, in about 20 years, they have changed the scene of
how did they do it?
They became a nuclear power.
Yeah, right.
And they are now managing the communication technology in England and in the United States, especially in Los Angeles.
How do you teach political consciousness? It's needed in the Middle East. How do you teach people to become politically?
People sit and discuss things and debate things.
Right,
and they have got a good leader around, even if he is illiterate, but he has got certain ideas.
Right, excellent point. Brother Hazem, I believe here in the Middle East that it's much needed, is what Mr. Jalal said, but I believe that people here, they haven't learned how to agree to disagree. What do I mean?
Yes.
If we sit down here now, three of us, Mr. Jalal says something, I don't like it. Brother Hazem says something, I don't like it. Or I say something, you don't like it, like this. At the end of the day, we're civil with each other and we go home. But here, I feel like they haven't learned that yet, and I think that will take time.
Yes.
What do you do? Do you agree with that statement, Mr. Jalal?
Yeah. And I think here also one weak point in us as people of Egypt, I think. I'm talking about Egypt now.
Go ahead.
I think they are good-hearted people, and they go to the mosque and listen to whoever the preacher is saying. And the preacher says whatever,
Right.
Blah, 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 blah.
Maybe it's not always right, maybe it's not always correct, yeah.
And you are, for example, in the last election of this in Egypt, I mean, somebody would go to the, in the provinces, etc., to the mosque and says, if you say no, you go to hell. If you say yes, you are going to the paradise.
And people believe it. Maybe some
people
uneducated
believe
people.
that.
Yeah,
he wouldn't like to go to hell.
Right, of course. But what is the literacy rate and the education level of Syria?
I'm not an expert in that field.
Yeah, but the literacy in Syria is much higher than in Egypt.
Okay. Literacy is, okay, excellent. That's very good. Brother Suleiman, do you have a comment for us?
What the three of you just said is exactly just what I want to say. Talking about illiteracy and political awareness. Yes, I agree with illiteracy very, very much, and to a very little extent, pride. Very little extent, pride. My Arabic teacher in around June last year, he told me something. كل عربي يظن هو رئيس.
What does that mean?
Every Arabian thinks he's a president.
That he is a president.
So
He's
taking
president.
taking that pride, like what Hazim here said, he said the Syrian people allowed the government to do so. My friend told me once, an Egyptian, he said, sorry, a Nigerian, he said, how Egypt was during Mubarak's regime. If you leave an Egyptian with a tree that can't do anything, he wouldn't be able to insult Hosni Mubarak.
That's
Leaving a tree in front of an Egyptian with nobody around, he still wouldn't insult Hosni Mubarak. Take my country, for example. We have over 250 tribes in Nigeria. Diversized everywhere in the country. But the unity between them is very amazing.
How did they create this? How?
I don't just know. As in, right from time, we have something, one kind of love that is, if a Nigerian, if should meet another Nigerian outside, this is how they just connect immediately. So talking about that, coming back to the Arabian world, I mean, you speak one language, basically you have one religion. What is stopping you from loving each other? First of all, illiteracy, then pride. And you're not aware of your surrounding. You're not aware of what's happening in the world. I mean, behaving like this is something that is killing you. Talking about illiteracy, I'm in an Arabian country. Being here in Egypt, what you said about to agree to disagree, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell an Egyptian his country is bad. He will never agree with you. You can't tell him, you can't point out a problem like, this is something, your country is bad in doing this, even if he knows. Sorry, I'm not castigating Egypt. Just
we could say
Arabians mostly, yes.
I'm sure Nigerians like this too.
Of course, Nigerians are like this too.
They become offended.
They'll never tell you the truth and like this is what's happening. But if you should settle down and agree with each other, even them within themselves, they don't totally agree. If you settle down with yourselves and agree, like taking Syria as an example, I mean, what have you been doing for more than 30 years? Allow one family to oppress you for up to 30 years.
Yeah,
I mean, believe me, in Nigeria, you can't rule for 2 terms peacefully. That's just 8 years because our presidency is for 4 years. Right. You can't rule for 2 terms peacefully. You must have a problem. You even want to leave the power immediately because the country will give you so much stuffs and you wouldn't just be able to handle it. That's why they just need the most qualified people. So talking about Syria, I think illiteracy plays a very, very big role there. Because, I mean, if these guys are open-minded, like we have people like Hazim. I mean, if they're there, we have a lot of them there. The perseverance and the spirit they have at the moment is something that can make them conquer the government. I believe in that so much.
Yeah, of course, excellent point. But thank you very much, Suleiman, for your comments. I will have to say, though, in defense, sometimes when you are living in a country and if you say something, the Secret Service will hurt you and beat you and you have something to lose. I mean, it's hard to speak up. It's not that easy. I mean, I lived in the Middle East before the Arab Spring, and I used to always say, well, why don't you guys speak up? What's going on? You guys express your political opinions. And they said, no, Malik, you're naive to what's going on here.
It's not permitted.
It's not, trust me, we have our own opinions. But if we say it, we're putting everything in jeopardy. I can quote a million examples here in the Middle East. I remember there was a bomb recently, a couple of years ago in Alexandria, and they interrogated the guy, and they killed the guy in the interrogation. And they sent the body back home to the guy's mother with no justice, nothing. So people are scared, so I understand that. People are scared. It's not that easy.
I think we are losing something here, which I think, from my own point of view, I'm sure, it's a little bit very important. We need some sort of a code of ethics, which is not there. Unfortunately, we have, imperialism has actually planted in our
psyche.
Psychic. I mean, certain things that. We have got a proverb says that try to divide and then you rule.
Divide and conquer. It's the old British way, right? Yeah.
So here actually, our fathers and grandfathers actually they have been living in that sort of atmosphere of the old imperialism, proverb.
Right.
And that's why I think, as I mentioned before, I think I am a little bit optimistic in the younger people, younger generation, not on us.
Right.
Because in a family, the young people will learn from their fathers, from their parents. If their parents are not educated, not only in classically, but educated politically, socially, etc., even in the social sense, they will not. They will not grow up. I mean, otherwise, and
will not go forward.
Yeah, but I think maybe, and I'm dreaming, but I hope that this dream will come true. That The new generation will be better, is better educated, and he will has gone through different experiences, whether they like it or not.
Right.
Yeah, and at a later stage, I think the new families in Egypt will be better. I think.
I hope
better
so.
Educated.
Thank you, Mr. Salah. Brother Hazem, go ahead.
I would just like to comment about two things. It's like the first point we were talking about is like the regime puts us in fear.
Right.
Let me tell you something. I'm a Syrian. I never actually liked to meet new Syrians.
Why?
Before the revolution. It's like I was always afraid of other Syrians. It's like, this guy can be working with the secret services. It's like, he'll be taking my own words. You know, it's like, I don't want to meet that guy.
Yeah.
I'll just stick somebody else. You know?
Yeah, there's always a fear in your mind.
Exactly.
He's not very sure.
Yeah.
As anybody who just looks Syrian, I just go down to them. It's like, hi, how are you? It's like, salaam alaikum. Yeah. Can I get to know you more? Are you from Syria? Oh, so we gotta get along, be friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
Things change. This is the first point. Second point is we're talking about this, like our generation and our parents' generations. We've lived in our parents' fears.
Right.
I still remember, it's like when the revolution started in Syria, even in Egypt. Okay,
Right.
My parents were telling me, okay, just leave Egypt now. It's the revolution. We want to get.
Because you were in Cairo during those days.
Yes,
Okay.
and I was like, no, I'm not leaving. Those are my friends. This is like my second country to me. It's like, I won't leave this. I will participate and I will help my friends in this. Like, I'm a medical student, so it's like I can help medically in such problems.
Right.
And then when the Syrian revolution started, they were like, Hazem, don't go protest, don't do any trouble. You know how it goes along in Syria. I lost my uncle in the 80s due to the regime also. So it's like they're really afraid.
Scared
like,
about that,
something might go wrong. Like, so what? My people, the Syrian people, have asked for something, and I will support my people.
Yeah, right, of course. Like you said, there's always an underlying fear when you. But I think now one good thing we can say about this whole thing is when you struggle so strong for something, when you achieve your goal, you value it and you take care of it. That's what I always say. You know, in the Western countries when they had the American Revolution, French Revolution, where people died and people were killed, then you value what you have.
Yes.
So I think after such a thing like this, the Syrian people will value what they've had and what they've achieved, and they'll build the country in a better way in the future.
They will gain this experience, and are taught to fight for their own
rights,
point of view or opinion at least.
I think all the Arab countries.
That's why I'm saying that we bet on the new generation, younger generation.
Yeah, we're putting our hopes in Tunisia.
And that's why here in Egypt, actually, the whoever is started this 25 January revolution are the younger people.
Yeah.
Not us.
Right. On Facebook and all this, because the regime was so old-minded, they're so old, they couldn't even understand what hit them.
Some people we started, joining them later. In the later
then
stage.
everybody got involved.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Tunisia, Egypt, Yemen, Syria, Libya, all these, I think the barrier of fear is broken. They're living in fear, and they're living in fear.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But now, for example, I don't think in the future, when the government tries to do something they don't like, the people who were they were accustomed to being scared and not saying anything, they won't accept it anymore.
No, exactly.
They'll fight for their rights
Very
now.
true. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's very important.
We got a taste of freedom, and we're not leaving.
You're not going to give it back. Yeah, so
I agree to that, and I remember one very well-known actor, what's his name? Ahmed. Hamdi Ahmed.
Okay.
He said that never, it will not happen that anybody will be able to impose anything on us.
Never again.
Never again.
Yeah.
Very true.
Finish. This is forever. This is vanished. Whoever comes, even later, the Ikhwan, the military, the XYZ,
whoever
blah, blah, blah.
And this
nobody will accept it.
The people know their rights,
now,
and they will not shut.
Yeah, now they know the rights, and they want to take it and fight for it.
They have tasted that.
Yeah, they've tasted that freedom. Now there's no going back.
Yeah.
No matter who's the ruler, they're not going to accept it anymore. And this is the main point. This is something we should actually be very
Which is a good
happy about.
Sign, I think.
And we should work on post-revolution. They're working on it here in Egypt, and they should start on it in Syria, inshallah. Once we get topple the regime, it's like we gotta educate people about their rights.
Right. Yeah.
People seriously.
You're a human being. You have rights. People don't understand. We're going to talk more about that and about post-revolution Middle East when we get back to more. Let's talk Inside Syria Part 2. Stay tuned.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Let's Talk Inside Syria Part 2. As we mentioned earlier, we're continuing our coverage of the Syrian situation in order to show our solidarity. Brother Hazam, before the break, we were talking about a variety of things with Mr. Jalal as well. And we were talking about now people know that they do have rights. I live in the Middle East and I felt like they let people trample over their rights because they're polite and they're kind and they're pious and they're nice and they're willing to give people the excuse. And they say words like, malesh, just never mind, no problem. But I say, no, that's not healthy sometimes, to some extent. No, you have to fight for your right. You have a right. Don't let someone take it from you. And I think this mentality has come to the Middle East. And yes. I think it's good. What do you think?
Yes, it's very good. It's like before, people they kept on thinking, it's like, if this happens and I actually respond to this and ask for my rights, where am I going to go?
Right.
I guess you either get prisoned, tortured, or whatever through the corrupt system. And but now people know what's wrong, and they will stand in defiance.
Right.
Okay, that's my right. I will get my rights back.
Yeah. I hope as a result of all this violence, all this revolutions, bloodshed, and in the Middle East, I hope this also going forward, they won't accept bribery anymore. A lot of these countries
this will go down a little bit.
Because now people say no. I don't have to pay you money on the side to get my paperwork, or I don't need to pay this policeman $10 to let him, because people will fight for their rights, because this is
happening in Egypt now, in Cairo even.
Even Cairo.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, I think one of these small minibuses, I think I saw it myself.
Yeah.
I was coming from the university going to my house, one scene. And they say this fellow was fighting with a police officer, Shorta, I think.
The police officer, yeah.
Yeah, it's a police officer. And usually before these police officers, usually they have already have a certain money to be paid for them from.
It's like a standard bribery.
Standard bribery.
Yeah.
Yes. Now these people do not want to pay, so they would fight for it, fight with this fellow, and maybe he will also curse him, whatever it is, and he knows that he's not going to jail.
Yeah, that's good. I think this is a part.
Yeah.
And if we didn't have these revolutions and this fighting in Syria, Egypt, Tunisia, it would have continued as is.
As was.
Yeah, Brother Hazan, I think you remember in Tunisia, the whole thing started because I think of the gentleman who was fed up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's like he actually burned himself to death. That's in Tunisia we're talking. It's like because he couldn't get political, nor economical, nor community justice in his life.
People were just so frustrated.
Exactly. And the same thing happened in every single country. It's not about they burned themselves, but it's the same symbol. People want to live.
Yeah.
They're not allowing people to live at all. Not as humans.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Brother Muhammad, tied in the back.
Well, actually, I have a question to a doctor and also Brother Jalal. Do you think that what is the role of media toward what's going on? Actually, to be honest, I believe that the news has a negative impact on the society. Why? When you usually hear the numbers are 20 killers, 20 have been killed in Syria. Next day, 40 has been killed. Next day, you'll think that, khalas, that it's normal.
Right.
You understand? But when you, you have to motivate people to do something. You know?
Right. So you're saying, what is the role of media in these times? That's your question, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, excellent. Mr. Jalal, what do you think? What can the media do? The media is so powerful.
Media has a huge role, actually, and a very influential role at one time during the Mubarak regime. Everybody was burning what we call bukhur, incense, yeah, for the regime, sort of. Because they thought that they are going to gain out of it, and everybody, this fellow, whoever is writing, is going to stay in his
chair, his position,
especially if he's an editor or news editor, whatever it is. Now, the situation has changed. But still, there is a different reasons now. The press, especially the press, and even some of the mass media, television channels, etc., they do go for show. They would like to give certain, ostentatious, news,
right,
so that they are in the front page or in the front.
Yeah, they just give any sensational news to sell newspapers, for example.
Yeah, the newspaper, for example, they are working to gain more money.
Whatever is a good story.
Whatever is a good story. Yeah, they call it yellow journalism.
And
right?
the other, on the same level, somebody would talk on a TV channel, in a talk show or whatever it is, just to
catch viewers.
Catch viewers.
Yeah, excellent point. Brother Hazem, do you think by making talk shows and talking about Syria, we see a lot of the channels now having special programs for Syria, as we do at night, Syrian Massacre, here on Huda TV, and many other programs, and now we're talking about on Let's Talk. Do you think this helps create awareness and helps put pressure directly on the political situation?
Yes, sure. It does help a lot, actually. Because let's say it's like when people get aware about one thing, they've got their governments. Their governments are moving. It's like they aren't doing anything to help Syria. So those people, when they get aware by this, and it's like they get inside with themselves, like those other Arabs, those other Muslims, those other humans, they're just like us and they're dying. We should support those people.
Right.
It's like, so people will say, okay, I should write letters to my government. I should talk to government officials. Okay, I should donate money to those people. I should do whatever I can to help those people, those other humans, Muslims, Arabs, just like me.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We can use the media in a positive way to help people. Speaking of helping people and using the media, how can we help the people? If we're living in a faraway country, Australia, America, Europe, Middle East, how can we help the Syrian people? Do you guys know of any organizations that we can viewers can donate to and ourselves as well? I know you mentioned the Arab Doctors Syndicate. Tell us about them.
Yes, they're called the Medical Arab Union.
Okay.
You can actually, they've got bank accounts, but they're in Egypt, I think, the bank accounts.
Okay.
So it's like you can send money there and it will arrive into Syria to help the people because of the crisis which is happening inside Syria. I will just go back to this and talk about the problems inside Syria. Other ways how to help people, pray for Syrian people.
It's
like every time, it's like when you're at night, just think of that person who has no shelter, no food. They lost 2 of their only children just because the regime wanted to last.
Exactly. Well put, just because someone wants to last.
Exactly. Pray for those people. Mention those people. It's like, I feel sorry for the Syrian people. You want to do something for the Syrian people? You've got your own Facebook account, Twitter accounts. You go see your friends every now and then. Tell your friends that something is going inside Syria. It's like every week, just mention Syria in your posts, in your talks. One thing we once did was on Mother's Day. We gave out numbers to numbers of Syrian mothers who lost their children in the revolution, and some of my Egyptian friends, they called them. They said like, "Happy Mother's Day!
Oh wow!
I know you lost your children. We really feel sorry." That mother started crying.
Who organized that? That's a wonderful thing.
A couple of Syrian activists actually organized that. It's something, it's like we feel
a small thing,
people.
A small thing that has a great impact.
Exactly. This is one of the things that you can do. It's like one thing people can do actually is talk their government officials, or it's like
write your congressman, assemblyman.
Exactly. We want to help those people. Pressure your governments to help the Syrian people.
Yeah, of course. What about the Red Cross, Red Crescent, and the humanitarian organizations? They're online and you can donate to them, but why are you smiling, Jalal, Mr. Jalal? You don't think they're too effective, right?
No, it is effective on the level of humanitarian aid only, but otherwise,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Even
you
at that
need
level,
much more than that.
You need much more than that.
You need more political
Pressure.
support.
This is the key to the solve,
Yeah.
not by sending band-aids and stuff. Right.
Yeah, as I got a comment on this. We keep on saying the international committee. Okay, they keep on saying, okay, we'll do more sanctions on Syria. This should solve the problem. I got an example for a sec. If you actually get a thief, okay, and he robs something from you,
Right.
okay, you're just like, okay, just a little bit of sanctions, a little bit of problems, like no problem. But when somebody kills hundreds and thousands of people, what's your response? Okay, just more sanctions. Yeah, that should solve the problem. No, you should take that person to court.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, and that's what the International Committee isn't doing. They should actually take those people to the International Criminal Court,
Yeah, of
the
course.
whole regime.
Of course, and that's why I say, Mr. Zabal, Kofi Annan should have been there to arrest him, not to treat him like a legitimate head of state.
Yeah.
Do you see Bashar al-Assad in a criminal court soon? Do you think that is a likely scenario?
You can see him, but not very soon.
You will see him,
Yeah.
but not very soon.
Yeah.
And this is speaking of your many years' experience in the diplomatic community. You think we will see him there, but not soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent comment. I certainly hope so as well.
I think even the international community and the the big powers at one time, I think they will change their mind.
Yeah,
Towards,
because for them he's
the
disposable.
head of the state of Syrian head of state.
Right, because these people are disposable. At some point, when the powers that be get fed up with them, they will just change the face, it seems. But we hope that there's, as we see images of what's going on in Syria, we hope there's a sincere change to the Middle East. Hazem, what has stopped you from going over there and using your medical expertise?
Inside Syria?
Yeah, it's so dangerous, yeah?
Yeah, let's say, no, I couldn't actually enter Syria.
You can't enter in the first place, right?
Because after the revolution started, I went on a couple of demonstrations, and it's like my name was all over the board.
In Syria?
No, I was on demonstrations here in Cairo, in front of the embassy. Where just like a couple of, like, let's say, hundreds.
Blacklisted.
Yes, exactly. I was blacklisted from entering the country. If I would have entered, I would have been took to prison, and I would never be on this show.
Yeah, yeah. At least here you can create awareness, and they need people on the outside.
Everybody has their own rules.
You can go in disguise.
Yeah, everybody has their own rules, but you can be outside and create awareness.
I can be smuggled into Syria and act as a doctor there. There are doctors there. Okay, they are in need for more doctors, specialized doctors, not me. It's like, I'm working on other stuff.
Yeah,
Everybody has their own role in this revolution.
Right.
Even non-Syrians play roles in this revolution.
Yeah, excellent point. Yeah, excellent point. But Bashar al-Assad, I remember his in Cairo recently. They stormed the embassy in Cairo. They threw his picture on the ground and they broke it. That time they still had a consulate in Cairo. Have the Arab countries now begun to pull their diplomats out of Syria?
They have.
And they've expelled their.
Yeah.
They've done this some time ago. Yeah.
They didn't expel any Syrians, but they
I mean the consulate workers.
Well, I think the Syrians will have been doing the same. If the Saudi Arabians have pulled and the Iraqis, they will do the same.
Yeah, of course, yeah, at some point. But I was actually so proud and pleased to see that in Cairo. Were you there that day in Cairo when they broke? I saw it on the news. They broke into the embassy and they took a big picture. They had of Bashar and they threw it.
We actually stormed the embassy twice.
Twice, yeah. Okay. Was there many people arrested? I remember seeing this on the news. Were you arrested as well?
No, I wasn't arrested, and yeah, some were arrested, and we had problems. And even recently, we're talking like 2 weeks back, a couple of Syrians were arrested here in Egypt, but they were freed yesterday, 1 a.m.
Oh, okay, excellent news. You guys, thank you for joining us at this episode about Inside Syria Part 2. We certainly hope in a year that we have an episode about post-revolution Syria.
Hopefully.
And we can talk about how great it is in post-revolution Arab Spring. And that's something that we forgot to mention about, okay, we're in the middle of these revolutions.
When Sir Kofi, I will find out whether Kofi Annan's peaceful
we can follow up.
He's going to work or not.
Yeah, excellent point. And I want you guys to come back in a year and address this issue again about the Arab Spring and where we are in a year, and if what we said, in fact, carry some validity, if these things happened. If these things happen or what happened. And you guys in the studio audience, thank you very much for joining us for the second part of our two-part series, Inside Syria. And of course, our final message is for the Syrian people, and we want to remind you to stay steadfast in your deen, and remember that you guys are doing something that the whole world hasn't been able to do. You guys are embarking on a goal that is amazing, and inshallah, it's been a year. There's no turning back now. You will achieve your goal with the help of Allah. And keep in mind, the Israeli Foreign Minister of Defense, Amos Gilad, said on Israeli radio, the fall of the Bashar al-Assad regime is the beginning of the end for Syria. I mean, that is an amazing statement, and you guys are so close to achieving your goal. I certainly hope that this happens soon, inshallah, and that we have programs about post-revolution Syria and how wonderful it is. For all our viewers, remember our email address, talk@huda.tv, especially for you guys in Syria. If you have access to internet, if you can share your stories with us, talk@huda.tv. Send us pictures, stories. We need to share your personal experiences. We need to hear them and know them from you in order to share them to the world. So like I said, talk@huda.tv. Tell us your stories so we can use our position here in the media to help you guys there. So until next time, we leave you in the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
When things go wrong as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when things go wrong as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the dips are high, and you want to smile but have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but do not ever quit. Success is a failure turned inside out. Let's talk and clear the clouds of doubt. Success is a failure turned inside out.